Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Ted, hanging out with some of the colleagues here,
Dave.
Nate.
and today we're going to start a new series called Fast and Dirty Monsters. We're gonna come up with some kind of concept, and we're gonna take a monster right out of your trusty monster manual and reskin it to fit that, so you can add something new to your campaign without your players automatically knowing what it is, right?
Yes, that's what we are doing.
Pretty much, yeah. So
what do we have as a concept?
Well, Dave said I came up with this concept, and I kind of remember it. I was talking about a chase game, and I ran a chase game at Philly's Game Con. And
it was actually our immersive combat video that we did, keeping combat interesting throughout the levels.
Yeah, so I said introducing chase into it rather than just fight. And one of the things is like, well, what would inspire you to run, to be chased? And I would say a four-armed gorilla, a giant four-armed gorilla.
Well, a four-armed gorilla would be kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
So there's a couple different monsters. We talked about this off camera.
There's not any four-armed gorilla in the book.
No, I mean, in previous editions, I think there was like a gorillium or something like that. It was a white gorilla-looking thing with four arms, but I don't think we have that one here. But so we'll make this one pretty easy. And you take, what do you say? Just take a basic ape, and stick on a couple extra arms.
Yeah. So we kind of actually looked at a couple different things with the process. We looked at the Quaggoth, we looked at the ogre, we looked at the Yeti, we looked at like combining several of the different monsters to come up with this one concept. And we decided all of that was far more complex than we wanted to do today.
Yeah.
And I've done all of those things previously in my own games, and it works, and it's a lot easier than it sounds.
Right.
But we decided to make it even simpler.
So we turn to page 317 of your, again, trusty monster manual, and we look at just the ye old standard ape.
Now the ye old standard ape is only medium.
So he's medium. He's got a slightly lower strength than what we want, and he lacks the four arms. He's only got two.
Yeah.
So we say tweak. We change him to large.
We put him on steroids.
Which only gives him 2 strength points and 3 hit points.
So we make him size large so that he's a bigger monstrosity and therefore much more terrifying.
Yeah, it's going to crank up his D8 hit point.
It's going to change the hit dice from a D8 to a D10, which, as Nate says, is only going to give him 3 extra hit points
on average.
On average, yep. You could roll them. We're going to bump the strength to an 18 because with the increased size should come increased strength. And we're going to change the multi-attack to say you can make 4 fist attacks.
And also, too, like if you wanted a couple more hit points, you could give him a 16 or 18 con.
Yes, you could.
And then that would juice up his hit points a little bit more. Adding the additional attacks, makes for some interesting options. You can then grapple.
It does have athletics.
He does have athletics, so he's going to be good at it. The only problem with monsters and grapple, though, is I know we were talking about this before, and I realized multi-attack is a specific type of action.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you either can multi-attack or you could grapple with your attack.
Right.
So you couldn't. So you would lose the 4 attacks.
Right.
But I would say if you're there, if the character is already grappled, the next round you could use multi-attack.
Yes.
With whatever limbs aren't holding him. Yeah.
Yeah. That I would rule that would be acceptable.
Yeah.
I'm.
Or if you have 2 apes, one of them grabs a guy and the other one pounds at him.
You could have, all right, I grab a guy, you grab a guy. I've got the arms, you've got the legs, or I got the right side, you got the left side.
And then you just try and
draw a quarter him,
or knock all the dust off of him by slamming it on the ground.
It's dirty. I'm cleaning it.
Yeah.
You're making the ground messy.
It's just like 2 of them just whip you like a towel.
So, and essentially, we're keeping everything. Basically, this is just a gorilla.
Yeah.
So it's animal. The animal intelligence. It's going to act like regular gorillas. Maybe there's I don't know. Apes are they live in troops, or is that only baboons?
I'm not certain the classification on apes.
I am for certain it's not a gaggle.
You're positive it's not a gaggle.
Positive.
But so I know baboons are a troop.
Okay.
But I don't know how they classify other ape groups or whatever.
Okay.
But you could have this family group of these 4-armed apes. And then also too, if we wanted to pump it up a little, Because we're here to pump you up.
Because you can always turn to page 323 of, again, your trusty Monster Manual.
Where there's a pre-pumped ape.
And we could take this nasty version of a giant ape, a huge beast that has got 15 die 12 hit dice, and say, you know what? Let's just tack a couple extra arms on this guy.
Yeah, and you don't have to do anything with his size or his strength or his con.
23 strength, 18 constitution. He's already got 157 hit points.
And he can throw small buildings as a missile weapon.
Yeah. Well, it says rock.
Ranged weapon rock, 7 die 6 plus 6.
Yeah, the ape throws a rock. The giant ape just throws a bigger rock.
Yeah, I think it's, let me cleave off a piece of a mountain and throw that, because I think that's what he's throwing.
Yeah, here's a tree. Incoming!
So with this guy, you just change his thing to 4 fist attacks, and you're good to go. And with either of these creatures, you could totally say, you know what, I'm going to use it as we describe, and it's just, hey, here's an ape with 4 arms and a giant ape with 4 arms. Or you could totally say, all right, I'm going to change the entire exterior of this creature and make it be something completely new and interesting. And now your party has 0 clue about what this thing is. If you're the kind of, if your player's the kind of person that they've read the monster manual and they know the stats of things, they know what everything can do based off of a visual description. Giving a different visual description beyond just he's got extra arms is totally going to throw them for a loop, and they're not going to know what to do.
Yeah, so. I've done that enough times. I've basically used owlbears.
Yes.
And I base the stats for an owlbear, and I just described it as looking like an inside-out bear.
Yes.
And including like when the paws leave bloody prints on the ground.
There's 2 owlbears and an oni, right?
Yeah, an ogre magi. Yeah. And I just completely changed all the descriptions, and then no one knew what they were facing.
Now, I think one thing I might change about this with a multi-attack is I might allow for either 4 attacks or a grapple and 2 fist attacks as part of the multi, because they do that all the time. Where
you can put that in there,
or a throw, or
a grapple and 2 fist attacks. I would say that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because it makes sense.
It's using quote unquote 2 arms to be able to grapple.
Yeah, I mean, you can grapple.
And it's so much cooler if you just pick up the fighter or paladin by his arms, and the other 2 are just like, until he can crack the armor and get the soft, gooey goodness inside.
I somehow have a vision of an old animated, cartoon show, where that kind of thing happened.
It probably has.
Cracked him like a Newton or something.
No, just the
grabbing into arms.
No, it was from it was the Mortal Kombat movie.
I think it's more.
Oh yeah, Goro. Yeah, it's definitely a Goron move or Gorgo. What was his name? I forget now. You guys can let us know in the comments below. Goro.
And while you're doing that,
you can like, share, subscribe.
You can patronize us in a good way by checking out our Patreon account.
You can also read some of the articles on nerdarchy.com.
So until next time, stay nerdy.